So today we're actually going to step out of a little realm of videos that we do, and we're going to do something a little bit longer, something that's going to take more than 2, 3, maybe even 4 videos to attempt. What it is an actual PT Cruiser 2.4 liter non-turbo. We're going to show you step by step how to remove the timing belt as well as the water pump. So if this is something you want to try, follow me through all my videos. I'm going to show you step by step what I recommend doing, some shortcuts, things that help me when I'm doing it. If it's something that is going to be pretty much over your head, maybe it's going to be a little difficult because it's not an easy job. At least you can use this for learning what needs to be done. So if you take it in, you'll know why they're charging what they're charging, and you know why it's taking as long as it's taking. It's not cut and dry. It does have a lot of steps and a couple things you need to pay real close attention to. So with that, let's go ahead and get started on this job, because it's going to take a while. At this point, the vehicle's been cut off. It is spin over but will not start. Now we want to verify that the timing belt is actually broke. Now one thing you can actually tell is just by the sound. We're going to go ahead and spin it over, and as we do, you'll listen to the amount of resistance the engine has. Go ahead and spin it. As you can hear, it's a completely different sound. It's basically spin over faster than it should. And what we want to do is verify that the belt is broken, that the cam gears are not turning. Now what we can do, especially if you're doing it by yourself, is a little access plug on the front of the timing belt cover, the upper portion. I'll show you clearly in just a second. What I'm going to try to do is pop that cover off. I can visually look at the gears, see if someone can spin it over for me, or if you're by yourself, you can put a little dab of paint on there, go inside, spin it over a few times, come back out, see if the marks have even moved. If you still see the paint mark, you know that the belt's broke. Now when we go ahead and get access to that rubber plug I was telling you about, as you're looking at the front of the timing cover, you'll see one indentation here. That's actually where one of the fasteners holds it in place. The one directly below it, you'll see the plug. Just need a matter of just popping it off. Basically almost like an inspection window. Now we can get down to where we can see a little bit. Like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a little dab of paint on there. Something bright. In this case, it's going to be white. Put it inside the hole where I can see. There's actually 2 gears in there. And where that hole is located is where the 2 gears come together. So there's a small little area. Now what we're going to do now is spin it over and then see if it changes. I went ahead and moved the camera so that you can actually see the gears. You can actually see the paint marks on both of them through that little access hole. Now I've got an assistant inside that's getting ready to spin it over, and as he spins it over, you're going to hear the sound, but you're going to notice that the white paint marks don't move. Go ahead and spin over. Alright, so like I said, you could hear the engine spinning over, which means the crankshaft's turning, but the 2 camshafts up here are not. So the belt is broke, or something has happened to it. Some of the cogs on the belt could have come loose. Something could have locked up inside, or basically the belt broke. Alright, so now we've gone ahead and we've diagnosed it as being a broken timing belt. Now in the service information it states that the interval for changing that belt is 102,000 miles. My rule of thumb is just an even 100,000. I've seen them break shortly before or shortly after. This particular vehicle made 130,000 miles on it before it finally gave out. Now in most vehicles, once the belt breaks, you've got a lot of internal damage, such as bent valves most likely. Because as that crank is still spinning, the camshaft's not, so some of the valves may be down in the cylinder, and as the pistons come up, if the engine is not designed around it, it could actually impact the valves, bend them. This particular engine, this 2.4 liter in this PT Cruiser, is designed to be freewheeling. So we're good to go. We're going to go ahead and work on tearing down the covers and everything around it so we can gain access to the belt. And then I'll show you step by step what you need to do that, and a couple other little pointers as far as the tensioner, stuff like that. Alright, so what I want to do is give you a basic summary of what we're going to do here. There's a couple steps I like to do to help the job go a little bit faster. Now it's going to involve some equipment that you may not have, mainly AC recovery machine. The main reason why I recommend doing the de-backing of the AC system is we've got two lines that run over here on the passenger side that are going to be above the upper torque mount and a few brackets we need to get out of the way. Getting those lines out of the way is the key to getting this job done faster. Now, if you want to go take it to a shop and have it e-back down, or if you are a repair shop and you've got the equipment, go ahead and remove all the Freon. We're going to remove the Freon. We're going to remove the front grill assembly right here. We're going to remove the upper radiator support, mainly so that we can get down to the power steering pump bolts. And then we're going to go ahead and start jacking the vehicle up. Now, we're going to be using a lift. Now, if you don't have access to a lift, go ahead and jack it up and put it on jack stands. Now, part of the process is we're going to be raising and lowering the engine on the passenger side. Now, I'm going to be doing it with just nothing more than a block of wood, and I'm going to be raising and lowering the lift that the vehicle's on. Now, if you're using jack stands, then you're going to be using a floor jack with a block as well. I go directly up under the oil pan because it is a full aluminum oil pan. It's not stamped steel, so I'm not worried about doing any crushing, and I'm not adding no more excessive pressure to do any damage to the pan. And once we've got that off, we're going to proceed to getting the splash shield off, the drive belts, and the balancer. Once we've got that off, we're going to work on getting the center engine mount loose, jack up the engine, and then we can start taking the cover off, the belt, and go ahead and replacing what needs to be done. Now, one key thing I always recommend is if you're going to be doing this job, you've already got the engine halfway torn down, I recommend doing your water pump, your timing belt tensioner, and your timing belt idler pulley. Worst case scenario, you don't want to do just the belt, and then 10,000 miles down the road, you're going to have a water pump start leaking. So it's not too many more steps to go ahead and take care of that, so you need to do it while you've got it apart. Yeah, if any of y'all have seen any of my PT Cruiser videos, you've seen me take the grill off a few times. There's nothing really special. We've got a total of 4 7mm bolts / screws that we're going to be taking off. Once we get that, we're going to remove the plastic cover here, and then we're going to work on the 10mm behind it. Now we're going to work on the front radiator upper support. We got a total of 1, 2, 3 10mm bolts on the far side, as well as another 3 on this side. We've got one center support that's a 10mm, and we've got our 2 13mm studs / bolts that hold the actual latch on. Now when you're taking these side bolts off, there's actually going to be 2 lengths of bolts, 2 short, 1 long. The 1 long goes directly down from the top, the 2 shorts go in through the face. Now when you take the 2 latch mounting bolts off / studs, there should be washers behind there. So keep that in mind when you go ahead and loosen them up. Just be ready to catch them in case they fall. What I like to do is back them both out slightly. That way I'm ready to catch it when I loosen the other one up. Alright, so now we can go ahead and do them by hand. Alright. There's your washer on the back side, stud, washer and stud. Now we can go ahead and grab the rubber seal that's right above it, pull it off. And now we can grab the upper radiator support and set it to the side. Now we've got movement in the radiator. Now we can get down in here to access the back of the power steering pump and get to the bolts when it's time for it. Now we're going to move on to removing the Freon.